Hello there. I am here finally. And let me type in a hello, and then I'll introduce who's in the room with me. So sorry I'm running a few minutes late, guys. I am so glad to be here with you today for our Sew In. So hello, quilters and chatters. Okay, I have my voice back, so that's a good thing. And I thought I would introduce. You notice, you see Charlotte. Charlotte, say hi. And Charlotte's mother, Becky, my daughter, Becky. She's my oldest. You know, Evan. And then my other daughter who's hiding, that's Katie.
Hi.
And she's the felt artist that lives on the Eastern Shore and raises her own sheep. Becky does chickens, teaches school, and has 2 busy kids. Katie has 2 busy kids. And I wanted to show you what Katie gave me for Christmas. They're socks. That's all I'll say about that. But they're my favorite. So that all I have to do to convey a message to Mark is raise my foot. So anyway, I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to come on in. I'll get my sewing area set up. And first we'll talk about the templates for today's quilt. So come on in and I'll be, do I have my microphone? Yes, I do. Microphone is on. Excellent. Charlotte saved me the other week for that. So anyway, anything else you want to do? Anything else you want to say? You're being immortalized. So I'm going to put my socks on because it's chilly in here. And that way, if one of you gives me a fit, I'll just raise my foot to you too. So
I'll say go Steelers.
Go Steelers. Yep. They're not going to be in the playoff, but
unless the Browns win, unless the Ravens lose.
The Browns win, the Ravens lose.
I think I got it right. And we win, then we make the playoffs.
And hell freezes over, and then they'll make the playoffs.
That's all we have to do today. So.
But do they still have that player with the long hair that's kind of...
He retired. Polamalu retired.
Oh, darn it. That was the only thing worth watching for me. But
James Conner is pretty cute. So.
Oh, okay. So they got a new cute one. So, all right. Well, my kids are getting ready to go. Bye. And, there are 5 people watching. Already got a thumbs up. Thank you. I always forget to ask a thumbs up, but y'all are so good to me. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to my kids, and then we'll get busy sewing. I hope you brought good stuff to sew. Be right back. Thank you.
Love you.
Bye. I hope I remembered everything. If not, I'll bring it over to you.
Love you.
I fun watching the Steelers and take a good nap.
We're about to do that. Bye, Mom. Love you.
Bye-bye, hon. We'll check. All right. So I'm waiting for some of my normal chatters to come in and say hi. Let me make sure that I haven't missed anything. Oh, Busy Pat, you're my first chatter. I always worry if I don't see a name, I think, uh-oh, who have I missed? And my voice isn't as strong as it should be, and I do apologize for that. So I hope, Sonia's here. Yay, Sonia. I love it. So Sonia's here and Busy Pat is here. And I am thinking I'm going to work on the LaFleur quilt, but I've got a few other things to talk about, so it'll be good. Busy Pat, thank you. I am feeling better. I still do some coughing, but I'm over the infection part of the bronchitis. That was tough. And I got my voice back for the most part. Bonnie is here. Yay. I love it. So do y'all remember when I made this I recovered a fake gold band that had tarnished. Well, I ended up wearing it. Last week when I was gone to see my son, we went out to their performance, and I had a little bit of a fancy top on. It was teal, and as you see, there's teal in this, so I got to wear it, and I felt very special with it on, so I thought I would tell you that. Uh-oh. Blank screen. Bonnie, you might have to refresh. Oh, tell me you're not going to. Oh, I hope there are no problems. So, if you are a member of our Yahoo group, you probably already have the templates and the patterns. So, is there anyone who didn't get the templates? Let me show you the LaFleur quilt. This is the main thing I'll be working on today. But if you brought sewing, you can sew whatever you want. If you're trying to finish those last minute Christmas projects, go for it. But here is the LaFleur quilt, and it's quite lovely. And it's easier than it looks. Trust me, it's easier than it looks. Oh, Bonnie can see now. Yay, Bonnie. I'm hoping Melissa will be able to come in a little bit later. In fact, I wish I had her here, but I think she works Sundays, so I'm not sure if she's working today. But maybe she and I can get together another day this week, and then we could do live stream just so you see us working together. So, yay. Hi, Bonnie. So anyway, here's LaFleur quilt. If anybody is here and would like, I can give you the web address to download your pattern. And I can also, if you aren't a member of our Yahoo site and you need to get a copy of the templates that I made, I can send you a copy of the templates. So, you brought cross stitch, Sonia. Excellent. Excellent. I understand. No, whenever you want to work, that is you trying to catch up on projects. Well, that's what I was hoping to have more of my beach landscape. I want to start that this week. So maybe we'll do that this coming up Sunday. Being sick has kind of put me behind the 8 ball. So this week, I'm still, right now, I could lay down and go right to sleep. So anyway, yes, we are going to be ready. I've had some really sweet comments about the landscape quilts, and I think people are ready. It's like, let's get going. So, and thank you. You have been very patient, because I was going to do this back in September, and then Florence hit, and my life went nuts. But I am back. I'm kind of cleaning up my desk. If you could be here and see the condition of this room, you'd be appalled. It's awful. I was hoping when I started doing the live streams and videos that it would be a good incentive to keep the room clean. Didn't work. But anyway, so when I was on the trip traveling last week, I thought while I'm sitting in the car doing nothing, I will make new templates. So here are the templates I made. I'll show you close up. When you're driving, when you're riding in a car, probably not the best time to draw something accurately. I am sorry. All this talking is getting my lungs a workout that they haven't had for a while. But I may have to get some medicine, but I will see how I do. Okay. The first thing, if you are working on the LaFleur pattern and you are a member of our Yahoo group, then just go on the site and download the things, the hints and things that I put on there for you. I gave you a close-up of the applique patterns so that you would be able to see exactly where you want to put what color. Like in this one right here, the circle is a solid black, the stem is a solid black, and just the leaves and buds are a patterned material. So I wanted you to be able to see that. Something that I did differently was each bud, instead of making it, the buds, a black and something fabric, I used an accent color for mine. So I haven't felt up to doing a lot more. In fact, I don't know if I've done much more of any work. But what you'll see here is I may use the accent color for all my buds and the center of the circle. So, but this is where it's what you want to do that matters. So now, let's say you're sitting here and you want to make the Le Fleur. And probably not many of you are doing it today. But if you did, and anybody who needs information, I've got a sheet that tells you fabric needs, the cutting instructions, and applique templates. Then, and they should all be on site. Thank you, Sonia. And then some little hints that I had from starting to sew it. So if you're not on our website and you would like this information, let me know in the chat and I'll shoot out an email to you. Okay? Oh, nice seeing you, Pamela Sherman. Very, very nice. And I'm also going to give you, if you would like to join our Yahoo group, we share lots of free patterns, tips, and hints. And the things we talk about on live stream, we actually kind of expand on in the Yahoo group. We would love you to join us. If you send me an email at our time, whoops, hold on. I'm so glad to see Pamela Sherman. I remember her name from before, I believe, or was it she watched a video? So I'm excited. Okay, so if you send me an email to our time to quilt@twc.com, then I'll have your email address so I can send you an invitation to our Yahoo group. We have an invitation only to make sure we get just quilters and friends in there. So if you send that to me, also, can you private message on here? But I tell you what to do. If you would like information about this quilt, then also send me an email to ourtimetoquilt@twc.com. And right while we're talking, I'll send you the information I have. And that way you can kind of follow along. Some people are interested in making this quilt, but maybe not today. And I understand. And I thought I wanted to have a good project to work on for the sew-in. And I'm going to be on here till at least 5 today, or 5:15. And so that way we have plenty of time to talk. And if you have any questions, if there's anything you've been wanting to know, give me a holler. In fact, I'll give you the first little hint. And this is from my Mark. He was watching a local show made here in North Carolina on the PBS channel, and it had a man who makes designer jeans in the North Carolina area. And he was talking about selvages. We all know what selvages are. Selvages are the factory edges of the fabric. And it comes from, picture now, that here is the warp. And the warp is the strongest thread that they put on the loom. When you see a loom set up and it has all those strings coming down straight and parallel to each other, that's the warp. The warp is the length of the fabric, the established length of the fabric, and it has to be the strongest. Just think of how many times it's rolled and unrolled, dyed, washed, everything. Then the weft is the horizontal, and that's where you see the shuttle. Speaking of shuttles, I have one here. Let me show you the shuttle. Here is an antique shuttle from a loom, and the bobbin was this interior part. I'm not sure how to get the bobbin out. I've never even taken it out, but the thread would be wound on this wooden bobbin in here. And this is the shuttle. So you've got all of the vertical strings on the loom, then the shuttle goes back and forth with its own threads to weave the crossways. And every time the shuttle goes to the end, it comes up and over again. And it's that wrapping of the weft edge, of the warp edge, that creates a selvage. This is very heavy. You wouldn't want to drop it on your foot. So that's a shuttle. And so if you think about it, think about a shuttle bus. A shuttle bus is just something that goes back and forth the same area. It just makes this loop round and around. Well, they got it from a shuttle of a loom that goes back and forth. Now, that long story was because, do you know where the term selvage came from? Yeah, I'll give you a hint. It's a combination of two words. Anybody have a guess? Anybody have a guess? I'm going to have to drink a lot today. It's ice water. I'm going to have to drink a lot today with this throat. Oh. Then I also brought down, when I do sew-ins, I bring food. I brought my cheese log. I make these cheese logs every Christmas. I brought cheese log, rolled in pecans, some crackers. Y'all are very good guessers. Very good. You're all at least half. Wait a minute. Kathy Klein. Hi, Kathy. You are exactly right. You are exactly right. Selvage is a shortening amalgamation of self-edge. All of you, though, I was amazed. I'm seeing sleeve edge. I'm seeing safe edge or sail edge. That was amazing. You all had at least part of the answer. I tell you what, Kathy Klein, I'm impressed. Kathy, I tell you what, hon, I went to Jenny Byers last week and did a tour, and I got a free pattern from her free pattern section. I've kind of wrinkled it. Let me see if, and they're both kind of wrinkled. I apologize. I was in a hurry. But anyway, Kathy Klein, if you will send an email to, I'm going to type it again, Our Time to Quilt at twc.com. If you will send me an email at my email site, I will send you this free Jenny Byer quilt pattern. And on the back, it has how to make all of the flying geese. So Way to go, Kathy. I didn't plan on giving an award, but I was so impressed by that. I have to ask Kathy, how did you know self-edge is where we get selvage? That I'm really impressed. I mean, all of you got it at least 50%. I'm impressed. That is awesome. So I need Kathy Klein to, if she would like to win the pattern, to send me an email at ourtimetoquilt@twc.com and give me a mailing address. I can put it in the envelope and send it out to you this week. And they know I'm good at sending them out. I did have one problem with, you know, but I got it to her. And I gave her extras too. So that was nice. And then the other thing I've got to eat today is one of my Honeycrisp apples. I treat myself to 4 Honeycrisp apples, and they last anywhere between a week and 2 weeks. It costs $11 to get 4 of these. Now, this is a heavy apple. This is at least a pound. So this apple will last me a couple days. But if any of you, Susan Smith, yes, oh, good, Susan, I will go look for it and send it to you right away. Susan Smith, nice to meet. I remember your name. I think you might have been on here. So, but anyway, I wasn't a big fruit person, but these apples changed my life. And I love these apples. Okay. If you are working on the LaFleur pattern, we're going to first be cutting out the squares to make the 9 patch. So get your light and your medium for your 9 patches. I'm going to go real quick and look up Susan's address and send her out the information right now so she can be following along. So I'll be right back. Let me go check the emails, okay? All right. This is exciting. I wondered how this was going to work. Oh, I don't see it in yet. Let me check again. Oh, there it is. I got it, Susan. Okay. I'm excited. Okay. All right. I will reply and all right. All right, Susan, I just attached, I think, all of my files. And let's see. It's still in the outbox. Anyone else that would like the information, that hints and tips and templates and stuff that I drew up for this pattern and the location for the pattern on the internet, send me an email at ourtimetoquilt at twc.com. And I will do just like I did for Susan and zip this stuff right back to you on the email. And that way you can follow along good. Okay. Let me make sure. Looks like it did go out. And I'm going to open her email just to double check that I put everything in on it. I sent them as attachments. The email is very, very slow. So if you tuned in at the beginning, 2 of my daughters and 2 of my grandkids were here. That was fun. I said, "Can I show you on the live stream?" And they had to go because they're going to go get a few snacks and go watch the Steelers game and take a nap. They went to Carowinds, which I think is down near Charlotte, and it is a theme park. Amusement park type thing, and they went there yesterday until like 11:15 last night. Well, my email is not coming up. It's not showing up, so I don't know what that's about, but I will check it later on. So, okay. All right. Okay. So, let's see what y'all been saying. Oh, brilliant, Kathy. Oh, now here's a woman who is educated, college educated on textiles. We'll have to get her to do a live stream for us. Busy Pat, if you go on our Yahoo site, I have it under files. Has anybody been on our Yahoo site been able to open the files that have the LaFleur? Because that way I want to make sure Busy Pat can actually get it. Oh, Pamela, nice seeing you, and stay in touch. And if you'd like to join our group, please do. I'd love to have you there. Take good care, Pamela. I mean, this is the time of year we expect you to go and enjoy good people's company. So do that. All right, pulling it up now. Good. Let me make sure that you can get it. Well, Kathy, I am impressed. So Kathy, if you want to send me an email to ourtimetoquilt@twc.com, I'll send you out that pattern. Yeah, I had such fun. Last weekend, I went to Jenny Byer's studio, actually on Friday. She came in at the end, and I said, "Oh, could I film you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm not dressed for it." And I didn't want to make her feel bad because, she's my hero. So I said, "Don't worry. That's fine. That's absolutely fine." But it was good to see her again. And she got to meet Mark because she said, "They told me you were coming, but they said a lady from Greyhound lady from North Carolina, and I thought you lived not far from here." I said, "Oh, that was in my former life. Now I've been in North Carolina." But I tell you what, her shop is wonderful. Her shop is wonderful. In fact, I don't want to bounce around too much on you today. If anyone is working on the LaFleur quilt, let me know, holler out, and I'll give you the instructions right away so you can be working on them as we talk. If you're not, you might bounce just a touch. I've got some things to show you. Okay. So, and what I was trying to tell you, I noticed that my voice, I had gotten sick when I got back home from my trip. I got bronchitis, and so my voice wasn't very strong, but you can see a Jenny Beyer bag. Oh, I love my Jenny Beyer. You got them. Good. Okay, good, good, good. And as we go through them today, if there's anything I forgot, I'll double check and make sure to include it. So when I was filming, I spotted this fabric and thought, gotta have it. And you know, when fabric talks to you, you must obey. So I thought this was amazing fabric. And I don't know how many of you I've told before. Here's the other side of it, pretty much the same. And this is a 2014 by Jenny Beyer, and it's called Milan. So, and that would be Italy, wouldn't it? And here is the selvage, so you can see the colors. Black, red, purple, golden yellow, a darker red, and a fuchsia. But I don't know how many of you know, but I am going to be, I've already started, but I'm going to be working on an outer space, our galaxy series. Mark loves NASA. He loves the study of space. In fact, I gave him a NASA ball cap this year for Christmas, and I also gave him the big book of the images from the Hubble Space Telescope. So the space telescope. So, but I have in mind for some good fabrics. And I'll show you something else that goes with that. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I went behind the cutting table in that film, and the audio was messed up, so I tried to narrate what I was looking for. Jenny Beyer, and I'll show you right here. Jenny Beyer tears their fabric. Now, before some of you ladies faint, understand, and in fact, Kathy can back me up on this. If you tear cotton, any natural fabric, you will get a straight crosswise grain tear or straight of grain tear. And it is the most accurate. Have you ever bought, yes, it gives you a true edge. And some people go nuts and they say, but see how it gets a little fuzzy along the edge? You waste fabric. Oh, please. That little bit. Have you ever gotten a cut piece of fabric home and you open it up and it's wonky? Because who knows how it's put on the bolt? And so when you tear fabric, it's actually the best way to get straight of the grain. I learned this back in 1989 or 1990 when I worked at St. Mary's City Museum, where I did the costumes for all the interpreters. And one of my volunteers, who had been sewing probably 60 years, said, if you want to get those skirts to hang straight, you've got to tear the linen. And I had never heard of such a thing and thought, well, that sounds odd. She was right, though. And if you tear the linen, and, you know, if you start a bolt off, a bolt of fabric, and start off by tearing it, then no matter how it is wrapped on the bolt, it will come out square and straight. And that's important. So what I tried to show you when I went behind the counter is I used to love to look behind the counter and see all of the threads that were laying on the floor. And yeah, not many places. Amish quilt shops, a lot of them still tear fabric, and Jenny Beyers. I think they're about the only ones that I know of. But I tell you what, it's faster, easier, and keeps the fabric straight. But I used to look on the floor back when I used to visit a shop years ago, and the floor was covered with rainbow threads. Well, now, this time instead, I with the camera, I show you a plastic bag that's full of snippets of thread. And in fact, I should have asked, what do y'all do with those? Because, you know, if you're an art quilter, those are treasure. So I got to save it. So anyway, so I looked all around the shop, and there were several patterns that I was drooling over. But this is one I've wanted for a while. And it is called Arabic Tiles. And let me show you close up. Now, understand that those are all kaleidoscopes. The fabric doesn't come printed that way. You have to make them yourself. And all these little pieces, like this black piece right there, those are 4 additional pieces that are mitered around that diamond. This is not a beginner quilt. And even for me, I have been quilting 30 years, this is going to be a challenge. And so I looked at the whole pattern. It was too pricey for me this close to Christmas. So I instead, because Mark said, what are you going to buy? I was like, oh, I love, those are the best words besides I love you, you know? And so I decided to do the table runner because I think I have a good chance of getting that done. So there's the table runner. And this kit was $48. So that was a lot better than $150, $200. So look at these fabrics. So it's borders, a stripe, a border, a border, a border, and black. What's nice about the kits, some places like Connecting Threads don't really charge you to make a kit. And I think with Jenny Buyer, it is a little more expensive than just the cuts of fabric themselves. But when you get a kit with a lot of different colors and a lot of different pieces, and you only need a little bit, it's a good deal. Because if you have to buy a minimum and, you know, and you only really need a 1/8 yard, then that's where it's very, but the main thing with Jenny, and as I said, hi Diane 57, hello darling. But as I said, having a kit where you know that Jenny Buyer herself has chosen the fabrics and the colors is a good thing. I call her the quilter of light, and I truly believe that. She captures light in a way that's unbelievable. In fact, in the video that I made in her shop, I showed you the Moon Glow quilt that was laying there, because that's the quilt that changed my life. Bar none, changed my life. So I'm glad Diane made it here. So that's all I bought from Jenny Buyers. I think I was very controlled, honestly. If it hadn't been just for Christmas, I might have bought more. But anyway, but I know where to find her on the internet, so I can get anything later on. While we're talking about, you know, I show you everything I buy, everything that comes into the house. Ooh, I know something. So I remember I ordered myself some new Martelli rotary cutters. They're amazing. This thing has got to be twice as sturdy as the former cutters. Let me find. Look. Oh, poo. Okay, here we go. I was a little concerned at first because it felt different in my hand. Here is my first Martelli rotary cutter. And you remember I like them because when you hold it properly, your hand and arm are in alignment. And it's so ergonomic that I can sit down and cut my fabric, which is really good because I have a bad back. And so anyway, but I had actually, after 10 years, had worn out my old Martelli cutter. And actually where the little screw that the blade rolls on had been indented to the point where it had an oblong hole instead of a perfectly round. Well, do you remember some of those little toys when we were kids? Like you'd pull a phone and it would go up and down, this little wooden phone that was on a pull cord. Well, that was because it, instead of rolling smoothly, it rolled in an oblong fashion. So you can imagine that when you're sitting and trying to cut fabric and it's rolling oblong, it's like plunkety-plunk instead of a nice smooth roll. So I had to throw it out. There was no repairing that. So these I happened to look up, and they were on sale for $14.99 instead of $19.99 to $24.99, which they normally are at different places. So I got it from the Martelli company itself, and I want to show you some differences. It's not often that a company upgrades, improves their product. What a nice touch. And they're based out of New Jersey, but here's the old handle. Look at the new handle. Here's the old head. Here's the new head. Now you can't, this is not really giving you the full, because it looks like it's the same thickness, but the heft on it is much better. And this little thing here would break often. Now it's a solid piece. And see the little thumb holder right here? It is just a very nice, solid cutter. And I thought the old one, I mean, to use it 10 years was pretty good. This one, I probably will never have to buy another one. But I like the weight. It has more weight, and I think that just helps with the ergonomics. I am left-handed. So this has a blue handle for left-handed people. The right-handed versions have a red handle. And blue is my favorite color. It's my signature color, so blue is great with me. But I can sit down and do my fabric cutting because it's so ergonomic. And the weight of it and the distribution of the weight of my hand and arm, no problem. And boy, this thing cut like it was going through butter. I mean, sharp blade. So, wanted to show you that was a good thing. Then, I asked Santa for a couple little Christmas things. Okay, Bonnie, I will check we'll check my email in just a second. Yes, okay. You tear your binding strips. Now, you know, that's smart. Because that way, you know, if you really want it nice and straight, you can't tear it if you want bias, though. Just so you understand, there's no way to tear on the bias. You have to cut the bias. I got one of these. I said, Santa, I want one of these. But don't look for this to be done anytime in the next year. When you do one of these, it's all about your quilting ability. You want it to be your magnum opus. And I am not ready for a magnum opus. So I've got more quilting before I get to that point. Because if you do it wrong, you're going to hate this the rest of your life. So if you've ever thought of getting one of these panels, consider doing it in the next few months, because I kind of get the feeling they're winding these down. I had to end up buying this off Etsy because it's hard to find at sewing shop. But I still got a pretty good deal. They're expensive. They were around $18, and I think I got that for $17, maybe some free shipping, I'm not sure. Then I've been looking around for more basic backgrounds for my space series, because I'd like a pretty uniform background that then I can do all the nebulas and the galaxies and the planets on. And I ended up finding fantastic fabric on Spoonflower. Spoonflower is located here in North Carolina, and what they are is they're a company that you can customize your own fabric. They print digitally, so anything you can put into a computer program and send it to them, they can reproduce. Now, the fabric is about $18 a yard, so it's not cheap. And I was looking through there, and I mean, they have people who have printed out the actual pictures of nebulas and all this. And I thought, no, I want to do it myself. I want to see if I can use thread, Angelina fibers, ink tints, pencils and paints, and I want to do the creating, but I need a good background. So I didn't order anything from Spoonflower because I thought at the most I might be able to afford 1.5 to 2 yards, and that's not going to get me that far. So just in time, Pineapple Fabric sends me an email about a week before Christmas saying, look at these fabrics. And I think they were $3 a yard. Well, guess what I found? I could eat up some time on the computer. I get a notice for a sale, and the next thing you know, 2 hours has passed while I go down that whole list and check out everything they've got for sale. This is Stonehenge. So it is Stonehenge by Northcott, and it's from a Sunshine Cottage line. And this is going to be an amazing generic space background. So $3 a yard for Stonehenge fabric. I ordered it immediately, 7 yards of this stuff. And I'm very happy. Very happy. I'm pretty sure, it was $3 a yard, something like that. Stonehenge is your Jenny buyer. Don't you love Stonehenge? Ah, amazing. So I got 7 yards of this, and I just got it in Christmas Eve. I got it in. So, all right, put that over there. So those are the new things I got. Then, do y'all remember a couple months ago, I told y'all that I found some fabric I thought would make the cutest gift tags? Well, I actually made them. I made a bunch of them, then lost them. So this year when I was wrapping presents, I didn't have them to put on the gifts. So I took my cardstock. I went online. I typed in free printable gift tags, found a pattern, and then just printed them out in the gift tag, the cardstock and the gift tag shape. And here are 2 of my gift tags. And so I would take that, I would write the to and from on the back, and here are my gift tags. And I found them today so I can use them next year's Christmas. That's the problem. Don't put things away so good that you can't find them, because I got a whole mess of them. This will last me for a couple of years. So I just wanted to show I actually did get them made. Now watch, I'm getting ready to toss them, and then I won't be able to find them again. All right, so let me go. I love doing cheap little things like that are fun. Let me go read what Bonnie sent me, and I will be back, and I will check and see if there's anybody else who wanted a pattern information. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Okay. Whoop. Okay. All right. Okay. Oops. Let me see. All right, let me. Yeah, I wanted to buy I was just reading what Susan Smith said. I judged, if you go back, one of my videos, I judged a quilt show in September, and the woman who ended up winning what I considered the first top 2 prizes did a dahlia. And I was blown away by her quilting. And I thought, I'm not ready yet to put, I'm not ready. So I tell you what, I need to start watching some more of my Angela Walters videos because, boy, she gets me inspired. All right, so let's see. Bonnie was telling me something. Yes, Bonnie, I did see that Jordan Fabrics I put it on watch later list. I happened to see, I think it was this morning I saw. Okay, so check the email, Deb. I need your opinion. So let me go and check. I want to make sure I find Miss Bonnie's email. Oh, here we go. Got 2 inboxes. All right. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Got it. And we'll send that out, hon. Got it. Okay. Oh, Bonnie, those are beautiful for the LaFleur. Oh, yes, darling. Beautiful. Yes, that will work. That's wonderful for the background. Okay. Kathy, since I have your email, do you want me to go ahead and send out to you the patterns and the templates for the LaFleur that we're working on? Angela, she's very upbeat. She makes you feel like you can do anything. Love that woman. Oh no, that's perfect. You don't want extreme contrast because the real star is the applique. But you want the modeled kind of marble look of the background. I'm kind of realizing the whole thing is supposed to look like a European antique tile floor. You know, that's the kind of feeling I got from it. Oh, I absolutely, her M&Ms and wine. Yeah, I love, she snacks, she eats, she drinks, she has a good time. So, but I just love that gal. One of my bucket list is to go to Missouri Star Quilt Fabrics and then zip up and see her. She's only about 40 minutes away. So, yeah, if you want to do a dahlia, just kind of put it in the back of your mind that in the next few months, try to get a hold of one because, you know, once people don't realize that usually once they do a run of fabric, that's pretty much it. That's why I say if you see something you just fall in love with, get it. You don't have to get all the other blenders and accompaniments. Just if it's something that your focus fabric, something that you need to, you know, that the one that really tugs your heart, get it. And then that way later on you can find the other stuff with it. Because I know it's expensive to buy fabrics. Very expensive. All right. So, Bonnie, I think your fabric is great. Oh, and I was wondering if, I'm not sure if Kathy Klein is still on here, but if she would like me to send her, anybody on here that wants, if you are not on our Yahoo group, but you would like the templates I drew up, I mean, it's my hand-drawn stuff, so don't expect perfection. And, but these are the applique templates because they didn't come with the free pattern online. And when I first started doing them, the drawings they give you on the online program only show a quarter of each block at a time. So when they did that, it was hard for me to figure out what the patterns were. See, they gave you this drawing. Well, these that touch the edges should be done in all 4 quadrants as a whole. So what I did is I did that work for you. So anyone else, I'm going to type our address in here again. If you want the information and templates, shoot me an email. Okay, Susan, if I have your email, do I have Susan's? Yes. Susan, I'm going to go right now and send you an invitation. If you don't see it in your regular email, look in your spam box, your junk email box. But let me go while I'm thinking about it, okay? So hold on, group. This is so much easier if I just go right away, go and do it. So, okay, let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah, I love our Yahoo group because it really does let us get more in depth. We've got great people who put all kinds of free tutorials, free patterns, videos that really they find helpful. And we get to keep talking about whatever subject we started on Sunday or new ones. Okay, I'm going to go right there. I got her. I'll send you the invitation. Like I said, I do invitation only so that we make sure that they are other quilters. But I'm so proud of this group. You don't know how much I love all of y'all. I had started a Yahoo page for the quilting group that I used to run for 9 years. And we have more activity in this group than I did in that group. So, all right, I'm sending it. This is good. I hope you don't mind, but it's so much better. Okay, it is sent. It should be to your email box within 30 seconds. And like I said, if you don't see it in your regular inbox, look in your junk email. Sometimes it's read as spam. And then sign up, and we'll love to have you. So, okay, so Susan Smith's is done. And if anybody else wants to get patterns, templates, give me a holler, please. All right. All right, so now, if you are working on the LaFleur, the first thing that you're going to want to do, and this is the easy part too. Got to get all my pages together here. I told you already that one of the pages I have is an enlargement of that. All right, trying to get myself organized. All right, you've got block A and block B. Clarifications and sewing and templates. Oh, okay. Oops. All right. So if you're working on LaFleur, you want to take your darker background fabric and cut 77 4.5-inch squares. 77 4.5-inch squares. And then of the light, wait a minute. Yes. Then while you're still doing that dark fabric, cut 12 4 7/8-inch squares of the dark background fabric. Now, if you can't stand cutting 4 7/8, cut 5 inches. So that would be 12 5-inch blocks or 12 4 7/8. Okay. And then you'll need one 5.5-inch square of dark fabric. So, and then the light background fabric, you'll cut 72 4.5-inch squares of your lighter background fabric. Then cut 4 5.5-inch squares of your lighter background fabric. So here is the cutting instructions. And if you have the order, and anyone who wants this information that I wrote up, I will gladly share the files, and then I can also give you the web address for the free pattern. And I want to thank Bobby Ashley for this design. And the free pattern was put out by RJR Fabrics. Lovely fabrics. Okay, Mariella Barnes, you don't have a Yahoo account and you had trouble figuring that out. Gosh, I've had a Yahoo account for so long I've forgotten. If I don't do things on the internet like like Facebook, Twitter, things like that. Just personally, Mark and I are a little nervous putting too much information out. Now, some people would say, well, putting it on YouTube is putting it out there, but it's a little different and for me. But Yahoo, I have never had any problems with. And you can make up your own Yahoo email address so that nothing has to even come to your inbox of your real email address if you want. So, but I've been doing it for so long, I haven't ever had a problem. I guess, though, to get on our Yahoo group, you'd have to have a Yahoo account. Does anyone know? Can anyone help answer Mariella Barnes's questions? So, because I'd love for you to be able to join us, but I don't want to stress you out either. But maybe some people on here, I was never taught anything about computers. I've kind of learned along the way based on what I wanted to do. You know, if I wanted to get to a certain site then I made sure. Susan, you are amazing. So Susan joined the group, was able to find the pattern in the file folder. There you go, girlfriend. You got it. You do. Okay, Diane57 says you do need a Yahoo email account. But like I say, you can make because Yahoo gives you the email account, and you can make up one that you don't have to even check, you know. So you don't have to give them, I don't think you have to give them your real email account. You just make up an email address with them, use that to sign in with. So, because mine is something like Greyhound Quilt Lady, and that's something I don't use anymore because I haven't done Greyhound Rescue for 14 years. So, it's been a while. So, yeah, if that is, Mariella, if that's something that you want to do, I would love to have you in the group on. And I think it would benefit you. But it's just, I know that when you don't know your way around the computer, it's really a hassle to learn one more thing. But I think Yahoo's pretty straightforward. So, okay. So if you have the pattern, what you're basically doing, I've cut out all my pieces, and then it's just a matter of sewing them together. You're really just making a 9-patch. How easy is that? So you need more darks than lights because this is your center row, and all 13 blocks are the same. There's your top row, and here's your center row. Top row, center row, see? Pretty straightforward, so checkerboard. So, I've got all of the rows done, but I haven't put all the rows together. And I'll show you, this is the back of the one that I had first made. So you see dark, light, dark, then light, dark, light. Then the bottom row is just like the top row, dark, light, dark. And you'll notice that I've got my seams iron based. I always try to iron my seams to the dark if at all possible. So there's that. And then once you make the 13 9-patch blocks, then it's just a matter of doing, this is block A, and block B is less intensive in a way, but it's got more leaves. So block B would be 4 of, here we go, 2 of this. So you'd have it where it comes up. Well, it's not even, actually this is most of block B. You would just have the one stem that goes up here. So block B, block A. And what I do, so I've sewn my 9-patch together, and then I take and cut out my applique pieces out of fabric. And to make it easy on me, Patty's here. Oh, hi, Patty. How's your head feeling? I didn't want you to get a headache. I hope you're feeling good. I know it's really cold, you said up there. So, but anyway, I take and cut out my fabrics from the templates, and then I lightly glue them in place. 1-2 drops of Elmer's glue, and that holds them until I'm ready to do the applique. And I think I've shown you my favorite applique pins. No sharp edges to catch the thread. Love them. And then I use YLI silk thread. In fact, that's a place I can take you. They're about 2.5 hours south of here, south of Charlotte, North Carolina, just over the South Carolina line in Rock Hill. And they get their supplies of threads from Japan, mostly, and then they wind them on the spools based on what their customers want, and then they label them and send them out. And I have been there twice and taken the tour, and so I'll have to take y'all down there. That would be a fun thing to do, maybe when the weather gets better. And I will take you to Mary Jo's, although I don't think, you know what? I think I did hear. Mary Jo's only has decorator fabric now, I think. So I think when they raised the prices of the quilt fabric, it just didn't become economical enough. But shoot, that was a good thing to see on the way down to YLI. But YLI has silk ribbon, has cotton threads, silk threads, polyester threads. The neatest thing is it has the antique thread machines. So it's really amazing. When you see the machine that makes braids, it's like the Virginia Reel, a dance I learned in elementary school because I was born and raised in Virginia. And it's where you'll have like 4 different groups and they all spin around, do their own thing, and then spin around each other. So it's amazing to watch the braiding machine. All right. So I'm going to try to set up my camera. You know, it's funny. I've been sick this week and I'm not feeling up to par, and where I had shingles is bothering me. I don't know any of you that have had shingles before. When you get stressed or a little under the weather, do your shingles areas bother you? So, oh, yeah, their silk threads from YLI are $6 a spool. And they're $6 of a spool when you buy them there. But they last forever. And what I was going to tell you is that you don't have to buy every color. I made that mistake when I started out. I must have 30 spools of that stuff at $6 a pop. It's almost $200. I've learned through the actual doing of the applique, you can get about 5 neutrals. That's all you need. Yeah, true. So I promise you, because the silk thread really embeds itself. And so you don't usually see it. Yeah. Now, did you have the shingles on your actual eyeball? Because if you get shingles on your eyeball, you can go blind. But yeah, this eyebrow bothers me when I'm a little tired or under the weather. It's like it just reminds me I was here. So I got really lucky. When I got shingles, it was funny. One day my eyebrow just had this pain on my eyebrow and there was nothing there. I called, made the appointment right then. Somehow a woman had explained her shingles about a year before, and it just came into my mind. And I went to the doctor and she said, it's too early. I can't see anything for shingles. But she was so good. She said, I'm wondering if this is going to, maybe I had like one little raised patch. She said, I wonder if it's impetigo. So she said, I will give you a prescription for impetigo, but I want you to get this antiviral in case it's shingles. Start taking it immediately. Thank God. Oh, your shingles in the eye. I wonder, did you? Oops, I'm sorry. But anyway, she said, take this antiviral immediately. And it, okay, yeah, that's what I had. Thank goodness you didn't have it in the eye. I had to go see an eye specialist where they did the dye to see, did I have it in the eye? And you know what? I just remembered I think my daughter had chickenpox in her eye, so we're going to have to watch if she ever gets shingles. But anyway, but I went to an eye specialist and she said, thank goodness it's not in your eye. It just started, just like you. It started the eyelid and went up. There's not really an outlet store, but he just lets you buy from, I guess, he just lets you buy from the shop. I guess they have a little area. I guess it is an outlet in the place, but he lets you buy it in this little area, and we go up and down and buy it. And you're not really saving money, but you get to see in person. People who are hand quilters swear by their hand quilting thread. So, but that would absolutely be fun. In fact, maybe we have a South Carolina member to Our Time to Quilt. Maybe she'd be willing to meet me there if she's not too far away. So that would be fun. We could do lunch and then go to YLI. So, oh, wow. Wow. Well, my doctor, she was real proud of me she said, I don't know how you realized what it was so soon. But my son had it on his side last year after his wedding. It shows you how hard he worked and how much he wanted the wedding to be just right. He got shingles, and he was talking to me, and he goes, should I go to urgent care? And he had been feeling the pain about 3 days. I said, you need to go to urgent care right now and get a prescription for an antiviral medication. I said, because if you don't, it can have lasting nerve damage the rest of your life. So, oh, you had to see somebody for 4 months. Ooh, they were being very careful. Yeah, I look like a boxer who had lost the boxing match. I'm going to go turn the fan down. It is bothering me. So I'll be right back. Let me turn the fan down. Okay. I'm back. All righty. All right. So let me set this up. Hold on. I'm going to set this up so I can sew. All right. I'll show you about these templates in just a moment. I can move this out of the way. All right. So what I did is I cut out all of these 4.5-inch squares. My Grommet, such a sweet dog. He's under my desk here with me. Every time I do a live stream, he's right here with me. All right. I've got my iron heating up, and what I did is I like to figure, okay, so you've got this yardage. How do you cut the 4.5-inch squares out? Well, what I do is I cut a strip of fabric 4.5 inches by the width, which you usually figure is about 42 inches. So I said, okay, I sat with my little calculator and said, I'm going to bring my calculator up so I can tell you exactly. I said 42 divided by 4.5 equals. I can get 9 squares, 9 4.5-inch squares out of each width of fabric. So I said, okay, 9 squares, and I needed 77. So then I took 77 and divided it by 9 to see how many width of fabric rows I would have to cut. And let me see. 77 divided by 9 equals, I would have to cut 8.5 rows. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't cut out more. I cut 8.5 rows. So half of a row would be, and it's like 5, 5, so it's just a little bit more than a half. So it would be about 22 inches, okay? Then, so I have then, like, of this one, I have 8.5 by 42 inches wide by 4.5 this way. Then I take and I use, you know what I love to do this cutting, and that is the Shape Cut ruler. There's also, I think, a Quilter Select slotted ruler too. And so I lay this on the strips of fabric, and then every 4.5 inches, I slice, 4.5 slice, and it makes very quick work out of it. Okay? So then I end up with these squares, and I start sewing them together in sections. Pardon me. All right. So this is my first row. Dark, light, dark. And let me all right, you can see me pressing it. So I press to the dark like this. I press it from the back first to make sure it'll lay there. And then I turn it over. Now, I don't take time and set the seams. A lot of people, before they sew, they take the fabric when it's just sewn like this, they lay it down, and they press where the thread is, and that's supposed to embed the thread into the fabric. I don't worry about that. Sometimes I think some of the stuff is hocus pocus. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me being impatient. But my bucket list is getting longer, but my lifespan is getting shorter. So I don't waste time. But do it whatever way makes you happy. Whoops. I hope I didn't close that out. Okay, good. I didn't. All right. So I've now pressed these to the dark and these to the dark. And guess what happens when you do that? When you do that, then when you go to piece them together, this is going to be the top row. This is going to be the middle row. So I fold the top down onto the middle. And now the seams are pressed opposite ways. So you just kind of nestle them in. And you can feel when they butt up against each other. You can feel when they've butted up against each other. Take a pin, place it there. Take a pen. Now you might say, well, since you're so impatient, why do you bother to pen? Because I really don't like this. If I don't have to use this little tool, I'm a happy camper. So, yeah, and I tell you what, it depends on lately. If I feel lucky, it reminds me of Clint Eastwood. So, do you feel lucky, punk, huh? Well, not today. My eyes are still a little bleary, so okay, so now I've pinned the seams, and that's all I pin because the fabric wants to hold itself together. And I run it through here, making sure this one feels a little off. Let me see. Yeah, this one's a little off. I could somehow feel it when I picked it up. So before I sew that, let's try to get it back together good. It was too far apart. And you know, fabric is a flexible thing. It moves, stretches. It's not like trying to work with cardboard. I put it in the right place and my finger was holding it there together. So now I go ahead and run it right off the machine. And I ran out of what in the world? Somehow my machine became, needle became unthreaded. So sometimes I love this Elna, but not as much as my Juki. This Elna has a weird system. And as I get sewing really good, the thread will pop off of that top hook that goes up and down. And then when I think I'm, oh, good, so I can go back and check the whole thing because none of it sewed. Reminds me of the saying, it's all fun and games until the bobbin runs out. Well, this time I had a plenty full bobbin. All right. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling the Elna machines had a period that maybe they weren't made as carefully. Because this machine came out right before Eleanor Burns stopped being the spokesperson for this company. So who knows what happened. All right, but I've had it for 14 years, 13 years, something like that. So, okay. So now it actually sewed. And for the, for the point of honor, that's pretty good. It's not, well, this one's about as perfect as you can get. Now, this one's a little bit away. That was the one that had moved a lot farther apart until I put it closer together. Do you know the tip that if you fold the seam allowance up this way versus this way, it looks different. So since this one's pretty perfect and this one has a little gap, I feel like it looks better if it's folded down. So when I come to press it, I will then fold it down to press it. And I press the back first so that when I turn it over to give the smoothing, it helps the the seam allowance lay in the right direction. And watch what happens just based on how you turn that seam allowance. Look how much better it looks. All right, so now this is the top. I need another dark, light, dark to finish this block. Okay, so I'm ironing, pressing these to the dark. Then I always turn it over to this side, making sure it's crisp and flat. And then I'll come in here, and now you can see the checkerboard. I'm just going to turn this up onto the middle here, and let's see if I can get both of these perfect this time. Okay. And you just nestle them up against each other. First time I saw this done was with Eleanor Burns, and it's just one of those things I thought, perfect, it stuck, and what a great solution. And sometimes with patterns, they'll tell you which way they want you to press the seam allowance. Then follow the pattern. They might have a reason for that. Otherwise, I press to the dark and try to nestle. Oh, baby, baby. Look at that. That is pretty darn good. Look at that. Isn't that cool? All right, so it doesn't matter which way I press this one, because it's pretty perfect. Now, in saying this is a pattern that you don't have to have perfect points, okay? Because you're going to have applique all over this baby. So, and let me show you that again. Because you will quickly find all of your connection points don't even show. Look, they've all got stuff over them. Now, for block B, though, nope, for block B, it doesn't even show either, because then you have stems going across. So, this is fun. Takes the stress out of it. These blocks are put on point. Let me show you where the block you're making is, right here. Dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Can anyone notice about how these blocks are placed? Anybody notice what's going to happen on this quilt? I'll show you on a bigger one. And what's kind of neat is it gives it that mosaic floor look. But these blocks, in case you didn't know, they're put on point. They're put on point, which is kind of neat because it means you're going to have more little bits over around the edges. But I love the mosaic floor look of this quilt. Okay? And as I said, I think you need 13. You know, you might 13 whole ones and wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 whole ones and then a good number of partials. Yep, they're on point. So what on point is, it's on a 45-degree angle like this. But now, Bonnie, I don't know, my background is, it's modeled, it's a Stonehenge, but it's hard to see. But now you can see where I think your fabric is going to be splendid. And once you start putting the applique on, you don't want your background to hop out and wave to you, because at that point it becomes the support and the star is the applique. Okay? Now does anybody else want me to do any more? I got you, Bonnie. I got you. Oh, that's totally understanding. Exactly, Susan. Boy, how long have you been quilting, Susan? You're really good with this information, hon. I love it. Yes, it will definitely make a secondary pattern. And for any of you who might not know, sometimes when you put blocks together, it gives you more than just what you would think with the individual block. Because when you make this 9-patch is one of the easiest. Rail fence is the only easier block to make than, or maybe 4-patch. So it'd be rail fence, 4-patch, then 9-patch. Very easy to make. Well, the thing is, when you put 2 of them together, you get a secondary pattern. Now, let's see if you can. Now you get a rectangle here, a rectangle here, and a rectangle here. And when you put them further together, you will get a dark square right here that comes together. And then the white single blocks become a rectangle, a double block when you put the blocks together. But people might not realize it looks harder than it is, but it's just, when I realized it was just 9 patches, I thought, I can do that. But here's your 9-patch right here. And it's just the way you line them up. So you make them all the same. When I first looked at it, I thought, well, maybe they alternated them, where you would do dark, light, dark. Then the first row of this would be light, dark, light. But nope, they're all the same. And when they match up, they give a wonderful secondary pattern with a dark center and a light box around it. See what I'm saying? So way to go, Susan. Way to go. Oh, I love log cabin. Anybody know what color you usually use for the center of a log cabin? Anybody know? What is the traditional color for the center of a log cabin? Anybody? Good guess, Sonia. Red was the traditional. Good way to go, Patty and Susan. And what does that red represent? Now remember, it's a log cabin. And if the tradition was red, what does that red stand for? Anybody know? Yes, the hearth. The fireplace, the hearth of the log cabin. Very good. So let me see. Sonia and Patty, Susan, they all got it. You would have to make the application with one-sided. Yep, the heart of the home, the warm center heart of the home. All right, so now, so you're going to make 13 9-patch blocks. So I've made 2. So then I would have 11 left. See, Sonia, and your answer up earlier. Sonia says yellow. Patty Chambers says the hearth, the hearth, the hearth. Red for the hearth. Gotcha. Bonnie got it. Yep, I love it. I love it. Y'all are so good. And Sonia said the hearth way up. Y'all are just so smart. I like how Sonia said yellow, because in hers, maybe a flower garden was the center of her log cabin. And that's lovely. So, and you know, I ask these questions. I love asking to see what you know and give you a chance to shine with your answer. But in truth, I don't believe in quilt police. And judging a quilt show is not something I love doing. I do it and I respect it. I'm not a certified judge. I judge for fun and for small groups. But I hate judging anyone's work, because it's all subjective. And I mean, there's certain things like the seams matching up, the points showing. There's certain things that are straight by the book, but so much of judging is subjective. Oh. I see. Now, I'm going to say something, Susan. You might not like this, Susan. And I don't mean anything bad. The whole idea that quilts were used for the Underground Railroad was made up. It was made up by a woman in South Carolina who I think wanted to come off as an expert. Yeah, you were right, Susan. It is a myth. And you know what? Eleanor Burns, bless her soul, so many of us wanted somehow, we wish we could go back and make the wrong things that happened in the past better or right. And so out of a good heart, people jumped on it and wanted to celebrate that. But understand something. Barbara Brackman is probably our greatest quilt historian. And she has a book that says, sorry guys, it's not right. We know who the woman is who said it. Those were lies. And maybe lies sounds hard, but you know what? I hate, after having worked in a museum and studied history for it, we do ourselves a disservice to believe in myths, because there are some other ways that we could do good and make it better without making up something. So I hate to say this, and you know, I'm going to tell you again, remember that Indian in the commercial where he had a tear coming down because he saw the earth was trashed and trash blowing everywhere? He wasn't a real Indian either. He was Italian. Sorry. He even named himself an Indian name. Not real. Sorry. So anyway, I mean, there's some things like Santa. I still believe in him, because if I don't believe in Santa, I might not get as many presents for Christmas. But I don't want to break anyone's heart, because, you know, there were some sweet ideas in the whole Underground Railroad. But the main thing is, this is what I want to tell you. And this is why it's important to remember. The escaped slaves didn't use roads, neighborhoods, and stuff to escape. They used the woods. They also didn't go out at night, I mean, in the daytime, broad daylight, so they could see a quilt and try to figure out what it means. They also, when they would travel at night where they were less likely to be seen. Oh, that's cute, Bonnie. And people, you know how long it takes to make a quilt? Especially if you did it completely by hand. And then where you really are going to hang it out over your fence? I think somebody would steal it. So there's a whole lot of reasons that the story, even though it sounds lovely, it's a myth. So sorry, read Barbara Brackman, Brackman. Read her book on it. And so it's a lovely story, but that's all it is. So anyway, now that I've broken your heart and ruined your whole outlook on the future, we'll talk about something else. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Do you need me to do any more sewing of 9 patches, or do you think you've learned the little bit I had to teach you about that? And what you're going to have to do in some of these, you notice some of the squares said cut it 5.5 inches. That's going to be for your half square triangles, because the problem about putting this on point is you have to eventually square it off. That's a triangle here and a triangle there. And actually, I should have made some of those, but you know what? Oops. I don't think I thought far enough to realize how do you make the triangles that go on the edge? It looks like, to me, the best thing would be to make a whole block and cut it in half diagonally. And you know, I don't think the original pattern had the instructions for it. And I hadn't gotten that far. So instead of me speculating, I need to make it in person. Okay. So we will handle the parcel blocks another day. Because trust me, we're all working on this slowly whenever we can fit it in, because we all have other things to do. So, and this is going to be tricky. See, I think that's one of the reasons I did some missing pieces information, because I think that this wasn't a full, complete pattern. All right. So let me go back to templates, and we will handle that another day. Let me work ahead. And I'm tempted. I was looking at this picture, and I'm tempted. See how the outer edge, the partial blocks, have the patterns? Here's block B. This corner is block A. I'm tempted to make a solid block, put the applique on, sew a line, sew two lines close together right down the diagonal of the blocks, cut them in half. So I will work on that. I will try it. But I just realized it didn't even dawn on me that we've got to have partial blocks. And how in the world do you get the applique this close to the edge? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to get in touch with the designer, and maybe she has the pattern, a more complete pattern herself for sale. So let me see what I can find. All right. So for right now, anybody who you want to see the quilt in the back? It is a stack and whack. It's Bethany Reynolds, I think, is the designer of the stack and whack. Okay, we will come back to the templates. My wonderful quilters and chatters have spoken, and they'd like to see the quilt. All right, let me get this out of the way and pull this up here. All right. I did this years ago. We had a person come to our group, our guild, and teach this for us. And so I got some very bold fabric with bling. And if you've ever had the Bethany Reynolds series of stack and wax, and I think she actually made, that's what this is, the wacky wedge. Okay, she had these printed out for us, cut out, the acrylic cutouts, and then I drew the information. And I do believe, yep, these are what we used. And let me see what degree. I should know what degree this is. Right. Let me see. I've got a 90-degree angle. It's more than, it's bigger than, all right, let me show, I do not know, 60 degrees maybe, because I've got these straight lines, and then this black line is the 45-degree angle. So what I did is I put it up here to try to see what the angle is. And it extends past this line right here. So if I were a smarter person, if I had more math, I would be able to figure this out. Anybody have any clues? How can I figure this out? I don't know. I will work on that and tell you. But this was the actual ruler. I had forgotten. Wacky wedge, this class was called. So she had these made up, and then we drew the lines and wrote all the information, put my name on it like I always tell you to, but wacky wedge. Page 6 of the original instructions. All right, let me see. Ah, yay! Page 6. Okay. Full-size pattern. Full-size. You know what? You might have better instructions than me. Let me see. I don't know if I don't think I have it. You must have better instructions. My pages aren't even numbered. Ooh, so maybe you have the original. I will have to contact her to get it, because let me see. I'm looking, girlfriend. Oh, here we go. I got some more over here. Hold on. Hold on. What will we do without our Bonnie? All right. Oh, yeah, I forgot about some of these original. Aha. There's this page, and it actually is a layout to show you where the half and the quarter squares go. All right, so let me try to find this. I know that I have this page. It's the cornerstones. Full size. Full size. Full size. Section 2. Section 4. Oh, here comes something. Let's see. Ah! Bonnie's right! Oh, this is so great. Thank you, Bonnie. Gosh. Oh, boy. Okay. So here's the quarter of the block A and a half of block B. Now, I got to ask you, Bonnie. I got to ask you. Now, I'll probably go ahead and follow her directions because I did cut out those squares. And see, I knew the 5 1/4 inch square. I knew that you cut it diagonally in an X, creating 4 small triangles, which would be that center right there, that center dark background. Oh, this is great. Okay. Never mind. So we did get it. Thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie, by chance, honey. Yeah, Bonnie is wonderful. I love Miss Bonnie. Okay. By chance, do you have handy the website address so that anybody that wants to download this pattern can? But I didn't know if you could type it on our thing here. Thank you, Bonnie. You know what? I've been so busy. This is how much paperwork I have on this. I think I need to organize. Yes, I do. Ah. And I didn't realize the outside border is 3 pieces. So this is not going to be done too quickly. We're going to take our time, ladies. All right. So now what I did while I was on my trip is I said, what can I do in the car? And I made the flawed decision to draw my, where are my, oh, I'll put them in here. These are my non-sewing, non-fabric scissors. And so I took a clipboard with me and put the templates down and then traced them. And besides making the car smell like, oh my gosh, these look like I was very nervous. Look at the edges. Look at that. Isn't that hilarious? But anyway, let me do this. I'm going to cut this sheet out away from the rest of the roll. And then, okay. And I had to make sure that I put whether it was block A or block B and what piece. And so where I give you the template patterns, I had written on the blocks what number each piece is so you can match up the template to the right location in the block. All right. So now then I took and laid this over top the paper where I had drawn the templates. And if you notice, I drew the templates with a Sharpie with a strong line so that you could easily see it through the template plastic. Now, what I'm going to do is, now this is actual template plastic that I bought, but you can use pieces, bits, and stuff that you saved. Hold on, let me see how I want to do this. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is, to make sure I can be accurate enough, the old Deb would have tried to cut them out while it's in this roll. The more accurate Deb says, don't make extra work for yourself, in the idea of saving time. And since this outer edge is wobbly, I'm using my non-car writing self now to smooth out that edge. And any of you who might be looking at the pattern, the template patterns, will see a solid line on the outside and a dotted line on the inside. And what that means is your solid line is the line, the size you make the fabric. That's the outside line. That includes the seam allowance. The dotted line, if you had this as fabric, that's going to be where you turn the fabric and have that kind of edge. Now, then I'm going to lay this Let me grab my fabrics, gang. All right. You're going to... Where are my good... You know what? I messed up here. I don't have all my fabrics. Where did I put these? Last night, I made some of my sourdough bread, cleaned the house to get ready for my daughters coming over. And as you can tell, I should have done a lot more thinking about this project. Now, I know I would have taken it with me. Oh, I apologize. I should have had this more organized. Somewhere. I bet you it's still packed in a baggie. But let's say this, oops. Let's say this is the fabric I was going to cut it out of. I would decide how I want this to go. And then I would draw a line and draw it with something you can really see. You can draw it with chalk. You can draw it with pencil. You can draw it with an ink pen as long as you're going to tuck that edge away. Then on the back, you can lightly mark that it's for block B, piece 1. But normally, let me do, okay, this would be like a bud. See how it's the same, this for there. And one of these edges gets tucked under. Sometimes you can take and just kind of, instead of having all of this, you can take and cut the template away a little bit so you don't waste fabric. But I want to make sure that this gets well tucked under. Well tucked under here. So I continue the piece on down. All right. So you can buy template plastic at pretty much any shop. So I'm going to continue to cut these all out. And you know what you can do so you won't lose these? If any of you have, you can click a hole punch in it and put them on a ribbon or a piece of elastic or anything like that so that you can keep all of your templates together. Now this one is cut off at the end because this must meet in a place where it would have too much built up if I let it go all the way down. And I just take and even out the edges. It's always better to estimate on cutting it too wide than too short. And it looks like that I cut it too wide there. But see the way that that curve goes in? It's better to have it too wide than too narrow. And boy, my hand was really bouncing around. So we were driving through blind fog and rain. I mean, no visibility. They had warning. We were driving up 81 through the mountains of Virginia, through the Blue Ridge. And they are so smart there. I guess they have this problem quite a lot. So they have all of these solar-powered warning lights that would cut the speed limit from 65 down to 40. And we noticed a lot of people, especially in the blinding fog, were putting their hazard lights on. So we did too. We said, we're not used to driving in the mountains, so we'll do what they do. And we got safely through it, but it took. And then, as soon as we got through that, then we had these terrible traffic jams where it was bumper to bumper. So anyway, but as you can see, I'm just evening out my herky-jerky edges. erring on the side of too large. Here, and just going around, and this is what's nice about using long scissors. You will get smoother, straighter cuts than if you use some little tiny scissor. So that's still not the straightest. I'm going to go back and double check. All right. And you can kind of feel as you're running, if you kind of become one with your scissor, you can kind of see when you get out of line. So this is much better. This is much better. But see, I kind of ignored some of the jerky marker and just tried to make it smooth around. Okay? Now, before in a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about different ways of doing this applique. I like doing needle turn, but not everybody likes that. Needle turn is a little more relaxed, and some people want a smooth, crisp line to do for their applique. If you like a smooth, crisp line, then you'll probably like freezer paper better. So, okay, so I'm just coming around like this. Take your time doing this. This template is going to be used over and over. There's no sense rushing it and messing it up. Okay. Okay. Trying to get it as smooth as possible. This is for the center of color that I'm putting in the center of the applique pattern. So, and you know, because you can do these any way you want. But when I saw this in the center, I liked it. Whoops, sorry. When I saw this in the center, I liked it so much. Hers was by accident because it was showing through on the little background hearts, but I put the color I wanted in because in other places you can't see it at all. Now here, she must have put this in. Well, maybe it showed up on the fabric, but I like putting that in. All right. Not all of them were the same kind of color pink. All right, now I'm going to get ready to show you. I'm going to get ready and show you a couple styles. And let's back it out. Whoops, hold on, guys. All right. Let me get my freezer paper. Oh, I don't think I finished talking about this, but it was a 60-degree ruler. And what you do is you decide, you lay that ruler around until you like a design that's in that. And I also, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing a little bit today, maybe. But I love these. This is an acrylic mirror. So it's not the glass, dangerous one. Marty Mitchell. And I paid maybe $15 for these. And if you happen to have a mirror company nearby, you can ask them to make them out of real mirror glass and then use duct tape to tape the two pieces together. And what you do is you lay this on your fabric at the number of degrees that your ruler has and see what pattern can come out from that. And it'll show you what the eventual pattern will be. So you just sit it on there and it'll show you. So I got very busy fabric And all of these are different. And I would just put it on my fabric. Let me see if I can probably do it on this and show you. Okay, and I love this fabric. I think it was Diane 57 that called it windshield wiper fabric, and I thought that was the coolest name for it. Okay. All right, so depending on where you put it, you can see what the block would look like if you cut out that piece exactly 6 times. Okay. Then let's say, oh, look here. Look at this. Depending on where you put it. Look at that. So if you cut that out, 6 pieces of that, then, which would be a hexagon, then that's what your block would look like. And then if you wanted to try 8 pieces, you move it tighter, and that's what it would look like. So let's go up to this light piece. Oh, that's kind of cool. But now what you have to do to make this work is you have to then mark out what section that you want to use as that one wedge, and then you have to find its repeat. Like this repeats pretty often. There's the repeats every 4 inches. This would be a very good fabric to use for something like this. If you have a fabric that only repeats every 12 to 18 inches, you're going to have to buy yards and yards of it, maybe 5 or 6 yards, just to get 8 little blocks out of it. But this one has very, very small repeats. And so, and then like, let's say we could turn it this way. There's all different ways to do it. Just by turning the fabric. Look, oh, look at that. That's cool. Because the little dark area kind of makes a little secondary design. So if you get it where you like it, then take a pencil on the outside of this and draw it, and then kind of draw it from corner to corner. And then what you would do is you would make 6 or 8, depending on whether it's a hexagon or an octagon, make 6 or 8 cuts exactly at the same area of the fabric. Now, how do you find the same area? Well, I'm going to turn it back around so it's a pattern that you can see better. Let's say I'm going to put it right up here at the edge of this. Okay? Right here at that edge. And that, let me see. Okay, here we go. Something more definitive. Put it right at the dark area. Okay, so once I draw this pattern on there, and I don't want to mess up the fabric. I was wondering, okay, I'm going to use this eraser. Well, it didn't work, but let's say this is the thing. Then I would find an absolute point in the fabric, and I'd put the needle there. And I'd put needles where the absolute points were, and I'd cut this piece out because I would have drawn around it. And then I take that piece and I put it exactly over top the very same thing right here and do that same design. And I would put the pin at a certain point here, and it make sure it went through all the layers at that point so that you were sure that one design did all of it. So that's how you do a stack and whack. That's just a short definition. You can get a book or a pattern and find the long one. It's not hard once you get used to being exact, because if you're you can't just cut and put them together. It would look like a mess. What you're looking for is the repeat of design. So I'll put the mirror away. That was Marty Mitchell. And they're acrylic, so they're not going to shatter on you. But I took and put all the blocks. Now, whoops, got to bring it back up. And I took and made these blocks, but I had a lot more fabric left over that I wanted to use. And when I put it on the blue, I use this is where subtle would have been a good thing. Because remember I told you Jenny Byer's secret is to do lighter or darker of the actual shades, where I kind of actually match them. And it leaves it a little simplistic. So what I decided to do was take a shorter section of that 60-degree ruler and make half circles of the scraps of fabric. In that way, these half circles now give me a very unique border for this quilt. And I liked it so much more once I put this outer border on. It all seemed to make sense then. So this was my first attempt at kaleidoscope. And I like it. I do like it. Be careful that what looks brown in that quilt is black, gold on a black background. So just be careful when you look at your fabrics. Have your friend hold it up before you buy it. Step back 10 feet and see if you still like it and how does it affect the look of things. I think I would have used a different blue behind them. Something lighter maybe. So that's that quilt. Okay, now let's see what y'all are saying. New Year's resolution, must read instructions. That's a good one for me. I will take that on. Oh, thank you, Patty, because I was telling her my space is awful. I mean, I clean the house, though. The house looks good. Have you ever noticed if you want either, you want a clean house or a clean sewing area, but the two never get clean at once? Nope, nope, nope. Okay. Oh, that's where you got your online quilt magazine. Thanks. Thank you. Very, very good. Oh, I got to see. Where's my mouse? There it is, hiding under the fabric. All right, whoops. I just love making y'all nauseous, don't I? I'm sorry. Let me get my act back together here. Okay. See, I do something stupid, but as long as I give you a cute smile, it's okay. So let me back up because I don't want to miss you. Some good talking going on. I like this. All right. Make a journal notebook. I like that idea. I've seen people do it, but doing a journal for your quilts and what patterns you find and what websites, that's a brilliant idea, hon. That is brilliant. Okay. The needle turn being more relaxed? For me, it is. Yes, I need to get something to eat or drink. Oh, I like that. Take pictures of things to see how yes, like the fabrics I told you. Take a picture of it, and that way you can kind of see it in miniature. Instead of getting one of those keyhole lenses, take a picture of it. Turn so the right side is outside. I'm trying to figure out what she means. Let me grab some apple here, guys. Got to keep my energy up. Keep up my energy. So, and oh, don't forget, Mary Mayhem is having a mystery New Year's Day. Love the lady, and it's free. Just sign up. Whoop. Go to marymayhem.com. And if you sign up for her newsletter, you'll get a free invitation. She's already given out to early subscribers. She's already given out the beginner page and then the first 2 steps. I'm not doing that one. I did her August one. That's the quilt laying back there. See that orange and purple? I mean, yellow and purple one, green and purple one. Okay. Let me get some of my stuff out of the way. Oh, I know what I was going to get. Freezer paper. Oh, going. All right. Freezer paper. This and this. Okay. Oh. Mark found at the Walmart these bags that are 10 gallons. I mean, whoop. And he said, he got them for me. It was one of my Christmas presents. And he said, honey, I've seen you put quilts in garbage bags and then have to write on the garbage bag, quilt, don't throw away. He said, I thought you needed clear big bags. Now, this is maybe 3 or 5 gallons. I think 3 gallons. So can you imagine how big the 10-gallon is? And he's going to get me some more when he goes back because there were 4 in it. But he said that way when you go to carry a quilt to a show, you don't have to write on the garbage bag. You can see what you're doing. I thought, that was so neat. What a great gift. Okay. Oh, good. It's just what I was going to show you. All right, I'm going to use this windshield wiper fabric and show you. Then I'll tear off some freezer paper. There are so many different ways of doing applique. Then I've got heat and bond. We can use that. And then I've got interfacing. We can use that. So I'll show you these 3 ways. I'm going to use the B template 1. And I'm going to do this. let me point it down. I don't know if it's down enough. All right. I'm going to draw it on freezer paper. I take the template and I draw around it. Okay, so I've done the freezer paper. B1. Always mark on it what it is. Okay. Then I'm going to take on the heat and bond. I'm also going to draw it. And use whatever fusible you like. I also like the Steam-A-Seam 2 B1. Draw on it what it is. And then on this. This is the interfacing. All right. So you're wondering, what in the heck? She's all over the place. B1. All right. So now I'm going to get ready and cut those out in a minute. Then I'm going to come over here to my fabric, and I'm also going to draw this is going to be for my needle turn. I'm going to take ink because that's going to be folded under, but I know I can see it and it won't get lost. Okay, so I draw it on. And the ink didn't come off as good as I wanted. Let me try a different kind. I love gel pens because they easily leave ink behind, but you got to make sure you get a good gel pen. No, I'm not sure if this is. This is not. Come on, pens. you know, it's terrible. I haven't been down here in a while. This room stays pretty cold. So pretend you didn't see this, ladies. I'm going to use a Sharpie to draw this thing. Oh, man, Busy Pat, that's a great deal. Okay, so I'm taking the Sharpie now because I know this will work. I know that you're probably passing out because I'm using Sharpie on nice quilt fabric. But you see it. But don't write B1 on the front of that. If you have to, use a pencil and write it on the back. All right, so then I'll take my fabric scissors and I will cut this out, leaving the line in place so I can see it and know that it's there. I cut right on the outside of that line and then come up this side and trim it. I was hoping to get a second camera for Christmas, but Santa said, no, they're still too expensive. Wait a year. Because I would love to be able to have, you know, close-up cameras show y'all exactly what I'm doing. All right. And I try to trim this pretty evenly because this is going to be for needle turn. Okay? Ooh, that sounds nice, Susan. Anytime y'all want to send pictures of your work to the... Oh, and Susan, since you're a member now, you'll be able to post pictures on the Yahoo site. We love seeing what you're doing. Let me cut out. I'm going to cut out... Pardon me, guys. I'm going to cut out this interfacing. This is fusible Palon brand fusible interfacing. Okay, I'm going to trim this up. So I'm going to show you 4 ways, and there are more ways of doing this. Let me tell you right off the bat. If you wanted to do fusible and leave the edges raw, then you could take and you can do fusible over the whole piece or just do a little frame that fits just, you know. Now, ooh, that's another point. For this one, I do need it to be this size because we're going to come in and sew. For this one, I do need it that size because I'm going to needle turn. For the heat and bond, I'm going to do raw edge. I don't need it that size. Remember, I don't need the seam allowance. So I'm going to come in here with my paper scissors and I'm going to cut in between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch less. I'm going to cut it smaller because otherwise you would end up with huge applique. So see how I'm coming in and cutting it smaller. I'm cutting it the finished size. See? Okay, so now look at the difference. See? So if it's raw edge, you have to then you want to make it the size of the dotted lines, not the solid line. Okay. Now the freezer paper, the same thing. Okay? I have to cut. I'm using my paper scissors and I come in here and cut it the exact size that I need it. I don't need a seam allowance. Now this will all become clear in just a moment. Let me get this cut out and then I will show you. There's so many little things to remember. I think that it would be good if you're not familiar with this, write notes to yourself. Okay. Now, let's take these methods one at a time. If you're going to use freezer paper, you still want to cut your fabric out the original size. And I'll show you why. Because you're going to take and glue the edges down to the back of the freezer paper. Okay? All right. So let me cut this other piece of fabric. All right. The nice thing about a sew-in is I can take my time to explain it. I don't feel like I have to rush and fit it in. All right. This quilt is all about applique. So, what I do with the freezer paper is I'm going to iron it right in the correct space. And I think you'll soon see why needle turn is my favorite method. It's not as fast, but I don't have to sit here at an ironing table. All my work is done in my recliner with my feet up. Okay. Then you take and you fold this under. Then, you know, freezer paper sticks if you iron it good. And you can probably use that same template about 4 or 5 times before it loses its stickiness. It's a plastic-based product on it that leaves just enough residue that it's sticky. Okay. Now, what I need is a little glue. I don't know if I have my glue pen down here. Glue stick, glue pen. Well. But here is regular Elmer's glue. I prefer a glue pen when you're doing this, but we use what we've got. And I have a good glue pen somewhere, but I tend to get big storage bags and pack everything I need for that project in that storage bag. And then when I go to look for it, I can't find it. I'm putting a thin line of glue on the paper side of this freezer paper. Okay? Then I'm going to take with my fingers and push the fabric up onto the edge of the freezer paper. And I'll give you a hint too. Clip some of the edges. Like you can cut off the points. You don't need all that. And on the tight turns, do a little clipping. Okay. All right. And you don't clip all the way to the paper because you don't want any raw edges hanging out. So you just glue this down. This is where if I had a fabric glue kit, it would be easier. So I'm going to take the iron, because you've seen those Quick kits, but they're expensive. But anyway, so I've got a little bit of white glue. Then I take here we go. We'll make our own Quick stick. There we go. And you just take with the iron and you roll the fabric over the edge. Okay. Now, you can always touch up the glue if you need to. turn it over and make sure that it looks pretty smooth. There aren't any, you know, spikes or anything sticking out. Then bring it back to the iron, if you're happy with the results, and press it from the top. Okay, and this gives you what I was telling you, which is a crisp, sharp edge. And then, if you were going to take it and put it on your background fabric, you've got a nice sharp edge to work with, and you can hand applique it down if you wish, or you can machine applique it down. Now, some people want to get the freezer paper out. You can try to pull it out because you don't want to leave paper in your quilt. Trust me, this paper will break down over time, and then it can cause damage to the fabric, or it can just fall apart and become little lumps under the fabric. So in this case, where I have pulled it out, then I take it back to the iron. So are you starting to see the part that bothers me? It's just, this is one little bud, and yet it's taking me how long to get it just right. Now, if you wanted to leave the paper in there, it's hard to remove later if you do machine sewing on the fabric. You would have to try to just catch the edge by hand. But then what you can do is slit the background fabric. After you've sewn it down, come in behind the background fabric and slit it and pull out the paper. But here is, and I would work to press this down even more, maybe a little glue stick to really get it to hold down sharply. So that's the freezer paper method. Now, let's look at this method. And you need full size for both the fabric and the interfacing. And this has fusible, you can feel it, it's a little bumpy on that side. Now, this is going to seem odd to you, but put the bumpy side down onto the pretty side of the fabric. That's going to seem odd, but there's a good reason. All right, then I take it over to my sewing machine. Take it over to the machine, turn my stitch length down to 1.9 or 1.8. And, whoops, let me get my wacky wedge out of the play. Okay, I'm turning my stitch way down, and I'm very carefully going to stitch it all the way around. Okay, so I'm stitching all the way around. Okay, pick up the presser foot, turn the corner, and go all the way around again. Okay, you're thinking, wait a minute, shouldn't you leave an opening if you're going to turn this? No, you're not going to turn it the way you think. All right, this method I saw Eleanor Burns do, and I was fascinated with it. And let me see. I'm supposed to have a bodkin, but who knows where I put that bodkin. But what you do, I'll use this bamboo skewer. Okay. What you're going to do is very carefully, pardon me, very carefully separate the interfacing from the fabric, because you don't want to cut the fabric. And I make a little slice off the top there, so I've got a little slit there. And then what I'm going to do, I always get confused by this, so let me think about this a second. Oh, before I turn this, go to where you can see this, go to where you can see the stitching and trim off the points. You can even trim off this, a little bit of that side and a little bit of that side. So let's see if you can see the stitches. See how I cut off the point and then a little bit off each side. All right. I go to the other end, cut off the point, trim a little bit of this side, trim a little bit of that, and then you can always just do gentle, shallow notches that will help the fabric bend once you turn it inside out. Okay. Now I take and put the straw in here. Come on. Put the straw in here and then push this stick. And then when I pull it, yeah, it's a little, I wish I had the bodkin. It's making it a little tricky. But you use a straw and push. And it helps the fabric come out. I'm pulling the fabric from inside out. It's easier when it's not such a little leaf and when you don't have hands like a football player. Is it like a camping thing, Susan? Because I'm a big camper. I love camping. Oh, and in fact, Mark, for his Christmas present, got a drone with a camera on it. And he said, "Hun, I can take a really good picture of the campsite so you can show your ladies where we love to camp." Then maybe I can talk Bonnie into one day going camping with me. I don't think so, but I'll try. All right. So here we go. Okay, now we got it. Okay, so I know this has taken a while. Don't push so hard that the tip of the thing comes out. Oops. I should have done something bigger to show you. So what you're going to do is take your fingers and just kind of roll this is the one downfall of this method, is you want to be able to roll that interfacing so you don't see it. Okay? Then you would take it and put it on the correct place that you want on your applique piece, and then you iron it down. So I put it right where I wanted it, and then I iron it down. And now you know why you wanted the fusible part facing the good fabric, so that when you turned it inside out, the fusible part would now be down so it can get ironed onto the fabric. So here is this. Then you come in by machine and you just stitch right along the edge. So that's the Eleanor Burns interfacing method. I'll be right back. I need to blow my nose. Talk amongst yourselves. So, Roughing It is a hotel without a pool. That's cute. Okay, so now I survived showing you the Eleanor Burns, because I sometimes get confused with that straw bit. But as you can see, now it's on here, and you just stitch it down. You can use a blind hem stitch or blanket stitch or just stitch funny. stitch it just little stitches around the edge. And then here is the freezer paper method. But you see, once you take out the freezer paper, it's, who knows? Let me see if I can touch a bit more glue. The only problem about putting the glue around these edges of the freezer paper method is if you're going to hand sew it, the glue's hard to hand sew through. Okay. Now I'm going to come back over and carefully iron this down. Where is my bamboo skewer? So now I've gone back, because I couldn't get it to hold good, gone back and added a touch of glue, and now I'm pressing it. And now I can tell it's going to hold good. All right. I love, look at this. I love Elmer's glue. There's so much you can do with it. Hopefully they won't find one day it eats away fabric in time, but so now I've got the freezer paper method right here and the interfacing method. So I'm now going to show you Miss Bonnie's favorite. And what you do with this, a lot of people love this. I tell you what, applique, whoops. I cancel, don't leave, okay. So now I am going to, you don't pre-cut the fabric when you use the fusing method, okay? You don't pre-cut it. You lay it on the back of the fabric, and then you come in and press it onto the back of the fabric. Nice and good. Follow the manufacturer's directions. All right. Then I come in here and cut it out. Now, I'm sure you could turn it under with this method, but that's a whole nother story. So I have fused it down to the fabric, to the back side, the wrong side of the fabric. Now I'm trimming it. Okay, here it is. Now, go back to my sample piece and peel the paper off. Now, let's say you have a hard time figuring out how to get the paper off. This was the best. I learned this from a teacher, and I told her the price of the class was worth this alone. You take a pen, you score it across the paper, and what it does is it rips the paper so you can easily peel it off, leaving the fusible behind. Then I come over here, and I fuse it on, and it's raw edged, and you just stitch it down. And between the fusible and the stitching close to the edge with small stitches, it's on. So that is the 3 of the 4. And I'm so glad to see y'all. I'm so glad to see y'all chatting, because some of you have done this so many times before, you don't need to be watching. But I love being here for people who haven't done it before. So, and I love reading what y'all talk about, because you know what? That makes it fun for me too. This is not that much fun listening to myself talk. Okay, here we go. Now, I had to do another for the edge needle turn because I used my other needle turn. All right. Ooh, and Bonnie, I made 40 more quilt necklaces out of the cabochon and frames. I got some more supplies for Christmas, and I'm going to be starting an Etsy site so that, because I'd love to sell them. I love making them. All right. So now I want to show you how to do the needle turn. Normally I would use I agree with that, Bonnie, but I have seen fusible come loose even without being washed. Okay, this is the problem, sweetie. You can either press the fusible. Let me get it up here so I can see. You can press the fusible just too little, and that will cause it to fail. You can also press it too much, and that'll cause it to fail. If you press heat and bond too much, too long, too hot, the ink will leave the fusible. I mean, the glue will leave the fusible and migrate into the fabrics, the background fabric, and then it won't hold. So I get a little nervous just using fusibles because I've seen them fail. Over time or something, the fabric will curl and fall off. So just understand that could be a problem. And then maybe if you see it later starting to do that, you can pull it down and stitch it on. Well, I never tell you that you can't do it, but just be careful because I know from my own experience I've had that problem. All right. Hello, Lisa Howard. Susan, you're so smart. Jenny Beyer, who you all know, I just think she's the best. She gets so much. She does all of her sewing and quilting by hand. And she still gets tons done. But she says, how many times are you sitting in a doctor's office? Or are you riding in a car? And, you know, I don't like my hands sitting still. I want my hands to be busy. And so I agree. Riding in a car is, I usually, long trips, great time to put binding on a quilt. Something mindless. You can still carry on a conversation, all of that. Okay. So now I'm going to go back, but I love hearing you say that, Susan. I like to use applique pins when I do applique, obviously. All right. So here it goes. Let me get up close and personal so that you can actually see what I'm doing. So now I've got it pinned in place. I wouldn't even really have to pin it in place if I didn't want to. I could put 2 drops of glue, one down this end, one down this end, right here to glue it in place. But, so I'm sitting in the recliner in front of the television at night with my feet up and doing my favorite method. What you do, and the reason it's called needle turn, you use your needle, you turn under. And usually the amount that you turn under, let me press it so I can show you, is somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4. Bigger than 1/8, less than 1/4. But your needle, you just kind of run it along the edge of the fabric and see how it turns it? I can watch it on the camera going right under. Look at that. I don't know why it does it so good, but it's why bother to use your fingers if the needle does it. So now you can either come up from the back Okay, and make sure you have a good amount. I take my thumb, kind of press it so it'll stay in that position. Then I go back down in the same place I came up, but catching the edge. Then I come up just 1/8 of an inch away. Okay. Then I go back down in the same area that I came up, but on the background. Then I come over here and come up 1/8 of an inch away. You see? And I'm not using silk thread, but if you're careful, your stitches won't show. So now I need to needle turn a little bit more under. I use my thumb to kind of give it a good press. Then I go down where I just came and advance the needle under the fabric through the middle layers 1/8 of an inch. Pull it up. You give it a gentle tug. You want it to lay flat. You don't pull it like that because now see how it's all wrinkly? You stretch it back out. You want the thread to set down into the fabric. I'm going to now switch and go the other way so I can go to the corner and show you how to do the corners. So I come up here. Okay. Now, I have taken, this is going to be a point. Points are tough. I've taken and folded under the point like this. Press it with my thumb. Okay. Now, go straight down where I had just come up. Under the fabric, move it ahead 1/8 of an inch. Pull it up to just the right. You know, if it gets too drawn up, just take your fingernail, smooth it back out. Because once you've tied the knot, it's too late. It's going to be too tight. Okay. So, turning the point takes minimum 3 stitches. What I'm going to do is come up here to the very point, and it's about 1/8 of an inch from where I'm going to turn it again. And I do an anchor stitch right at that point. I don't want it to go any further than that, and just do a tiny little stitch right there at the edge of the fabric. Okay, that's my anchor point. Now, I turn this fabric around in my hand just a little bit because I'm going to get ready to come up the other side. So what I'm going to do is take my needle and just doing a sweeping motion. See how it turns the fabric under for me? Now, one thing I forgot. Let me go back. I like to trim off the little points because we don't need those points. Those points get in our way. Don't trim them too much. Just nick off the little point. You'll see why in just a second. But nick off that little point. All right. So here I go again. So I'm changing it, turning it a little bit in my hand because I'm going to get ready and go up the other side. Let me try to, whoops. All right. So I've got this anchor point on this side. Now I've turned the fabric in my hand a little. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to turn under this side of the fabric. And see how that I don't have the point? It pretty much tucked itself right in. And then I'll just take a moment and tuck the rest of it in, okay? So that I can get a very flat point with no fabric sticking out. Now, it's kind of hard to get it in and have it stay in. So you know what I do? I take, and this is right at the point, I put it through the top part of the fabric only, then sweep it to just that edge so that it forces the fabric to be tucked in. So now that's my second stitch. I had an anchor stitch here, and this is the second stitch, and I pull it nice and snug because I don't want any fabric sneaking out. Then the third stitch, I come over, and I don't grab from the bottom. I come up through the background, right through the background, and just grab that top edge of this side of the point. See? And now firmly tuck that down. There's something trying to peek out here. I don't know what it is. But I just grab that top edge because then I bring it a little more forward and tuck it over. And there is my point. And that's 3 stitch point. Every point, you'll have 3 stitches at that point. Then I go down. I've got the point done, so I go down 1/4 of an inch, come up just a couple threads in from the edge, go straight back down, come up 1/8 of an inch away. Now, anytime that I get close to the edges that's not tucked in, then all I do is take my needle and pull it. And it is amazing. It's uncanny how it pulls just about that same amount under. It just rolls it under. See now that I pulled it out? And you can tell that just when I take my thumb and just give it a press, it holds it there. So then I just start sewing again. And once you get in it, now that I pulled too tight. Don't pull too tight. But now that, once you get going on it, it doesn't take that long. It's best not to stick yourself. And when I get anywhere close to that edge, I just use my needle and swipe it under the edge of the fabric. It tucks it right back in. Then I just press. Okay, so now I've sewn from here to the point, 3 stitches at the point, and then back down. I'll do 3 stitches down here at that point. So that's needle turn applique. And as you'll see on this, I just lightly, with just a couple drops of glue, I just lightly glue it into place, and see it's not going anywhere. Then when I get ready to actually do the applique, if it's a small piece like this, I may pin it in place. But otherwise, I just do a needle turn, and it's wonderful. So that's my preferred method. But do what is best for you. I find the other methods just are very time consuming, and you have to be at the sewing machine to do it. So those are 4 methods. Whoops.